Ooh, that's so dusty. Gross. I'll class this up for Valentine's Day. Gorgeous. Pretend you don't know what's in the cup, it's fine. According to the adverts, Valentine's Day is meant to be about flowers, cards, and wildly overpriced dinners. But what if displaying your love is taboo, illegal, or dangerous? Do you just not? No! Queer people have been finding secret, clever, and sometimes extremely romantic ways to show love for centuries. So today, in honour of the upcoming Valentine's Day and my ear infection, that means I have to stay in bed, and also everything sounds weird and is moving. Everything is moving. I want to talk about secret queer Valentine's traditions you probably didn't learn about in school. From coded flowers and friendship rings to love letters that were absolutely not just very intense gal pals. Because, friends, queer love did not begin in the 20th century. It didn't begin with pride parades, and it definitely did not begin with rainbow capitalism. It's always been here. It's always been creative, and it's always found a way. Secret queer Valentine's traditions you've never heard of. Now, of course, for most of history, being openly queer wasn't just frowned upon. It could mean imprisonment, loss of family, or worse. I'm really not that old, okay? But my parents were born when it was illegal to do gay things in the UK. I know, again, I'm really not that old. But if you're picturing my parents as Victorians, because like my wife, you were very confused in our last video, then I apologise. They are just boomers, okay? Queer people learned how to communicate affection in ways that looked ordinary to everyone else. Historian Matt Cook, who writes about queer life in his book A Gay History of Britain, talks about this as strategic invisibility. It's not shame, it's skill. Knowing when to speak, when to signal, and when to let something pass unnoticed. We don't really want to be signalling to the undercover policeman that we're a queer now, do we? So, when we talk about secret queer traditions, we're not talking about love being small or hidden. We're talking about love being clever. Just because you're not shouting it from the rooftops doesn't mean you don't care. Coded gifts and symbols. Flowers and floral language. I sound like such an old lady today, I think. This voice is very interesting. My son was making me read things out because he thinks it's hilarious. Floriography. Great word. The language of flowers is a means of cryptological communication through the use of or arrangement of flowers. So for thousands of years, in traditional cultures throughout Europe, Asia, and Africa, meaning has been attributed to flowers, and they've been used to send messages. During the Victorian era, the use of flowers as a means of covert communication coincided with this growing interest in botany. Gifts of blooms, plants, and specific floral arrangements were used to send a coded message, allowing the sender to express feelings of romance, which could not be spoken aloud in Victorian society. Armed with floral dictionaries, Victorians often exchanged small talking bouquets or word posies called nosegays, which could be worn or carried as a fashion accessory. The word nosegay was used because you smell them with your nose, and the word gay meant ornament, not gay, like we want it to be. In Victorian Britain and Europe, flowers were deeply symbolic for all people, not just the queers. They were essentially an emotional stealth mode for those who couldn't share their feelings out loud. According to books like The Language of Flowers by Kate Greenaway, entire messages could be sent without saying a word. And since same-gender friends exchanging flowers wasn't suspicious, it was an excellent way to express a devotion, longing, or love that couldn't otherwise be expressed. So to everyone else it said, "Oh, how tasteful." And to the right person it said, "I am wildly in love with you." If you would like to know more about the LGBTQ+ language of flowers, you can watch my video in the card up here. And you can check out my queer floral merch line. Yeah, the link's in the description, or you can see the pieces on the merch shelf below this video. Forgive me, I'm ill, but this is down. I felt like I was on a boat, so it could be anything. Friendship rings and lockets. From the 18th through to the early 20th century, people exchanged what were called friendship rings. These were especially common between women, we women in our jewellery, and they were worn every day. Queer historians like Leland Federman point out that these rings often functioned exactly like engagement rings, just without the language. Thumb rings and pinky rings have also been used as signals that a woman is, not so straight, like my finger. Pinky rings were used as a discreet signal of lesbian identity as early as the 1920s through to the 1960s, particularly within working class communities. Whilst they could indicate that a woman was part of a committed relationship between two women, they could also be used as a way of signaling a woman was part of the group. Thumb rings are a more recent symbol for lesbians and queer women. The trend stems from the idea that thumb rings represent a non-traditional or ungendered accessory, making them ideal for signaling lesbianism. But, then everyone started wearing rings in the 90s and now we're all just a bit confused. However, white rings have become a trend on TikTok as a specific subtle way for queer women and non-binary people to recognize one another. I mean, we haven't quite gone back to lockets, cameos and matching monogrammed handkerchiefs though, but if I had my way, TikTok, why is my ill voice 50 years older than me? I was going to do my hair for this video. I've only just remembered and we're halfway through. Romantic friendships. If you've ever heard historians say they were very close friends, congratulations, you've encountered a romantic friendship. Did they live together for over 40 years? Did they traverse continents together? Did they forego the expected traditional marriage and instead just exist together? Did one of them die in a duel defending the other's honour for no godforsaken reason? They were gay, Brian. Gay. Thankfully, we have love letters. Letters between same-sex couples in the 18th and 19th centuries are a lot. People write about longing, jealousy, sharing beds, never wanting to be apart. Lillian Faderman, in Surpassing the Love of Men, documents women writing things like, "No man shall ever come between us," which again, historians insist sometimes is, platonic. It's all very platonic. Slightly loses that possibility when followed up by talk of heaving bosoms and heartache, but sure, have your way. You could send a love letter to the queer of your choosing this Valentine's Day on actual paper with a pen. This old-fashioned thing people still occasionally do shows an excess of effort on your part, so you don't even have to write anything particularly fancy. Just the fact you actually use paper is good enough. But if you want to level up, get extra Valentine's Day brownie points, may I suggest a stamp? Relics of the ancient world. I just get parking tickets by a stamp now. It's true. I've learnt to drive and now I get tickets. I guess I haven't learnt to drive well. If we're talking about the gayest of letters though, let us consider Oscar Wilde's letters to Lord Alfred Douglas. You can watch my video about those by clicking here, again to my left. Poet Walt Whitman's to his partner Peter Doyle, or First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt's to journalist Joanna Hickok, which included the lines, "I want to put my arms around you. I ache to hold you close. Your ring is a great comfort. I look at it and think, she does love me, or I wouldn't be wearing it." Super straight, so straight. Just like Boston marriages. Do you remember my Queer History 101 episode about this? Because you should definitely click here if you don't. Oh my gosh. Again, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in the United States, there existed something called a Boston marriage. Two women living together, financially independent of men, often for life. According to historian Carol Smith Rosenberg, these relationships were socially tolerated because they were framed as respectable companionship, but many were deeply romantic. Oh no, there aren't enough men to go around. What a shame. And I was so looking forward to that whole marriage with a man thing. I guess I'll just have to couple up with Gilda, the most available person on my street. Such a shame. For a lot of queer couples, Valentine's Day wasn't one day a year, it was a life built quietly, deliberately, together. Queer holidays and global traditions. But queer traditions aren't just European or modern. In several traditional West African societies, women could marry women, sometimes called female husbands. Anthropologists like Ife Imadumi document how these marriages were socially recognized and celebrated, whether that is for economic, social, or romantic reasons. In Heian-era Japan, same-sex relationships were documented amongst courtiers and monks, often expressed through poetry. Exchanging poems was a recognized form of romantic communication. According to scholars like Gary Leop, poetry allowed love to exist in plain sight. And then we have festivals like Carnival in Latin America, which created moments where gender norms were loosened. Masks, dancing, same-gender flirting, it's all temporarily allowed. Historians describe these festivals as kind of pressure valves, moments where people could express things the rest of the year didn't permit. Which then meant that they had to be very extra repressed the rest of the year. See, you think these things are fun. It's like the school play. Your teachers are silly. That means you get to laugh at them for that one day a year, but then they get to be really mean to you the entire rest of the year. But it's okay because you get that one day. Sometimes the secret to preserving queer joy, my friends, isn't hiding, it's timing. And when it comes to Valentine's Day specifically, historically, queer people just adapted it. Cards between friends, little jokes only one person would understand, gifts given on slightly different dates. When you can't say, I love you, publicly, you just find 100 other ways to express it. Queer joy. The world right now is, I am struggling daily with my newsfeed. I want to be up to date. I want to know every terrible thing that's happening. I want to help every small charity and resistance group I can, but I also have 2 small babies and an ear infection, and I'm no use to anyone if I'm overwhelmed by sadness. Which is why I wanted to make a video about some historical queer joy, because it really matters that we remember our joy as marginalised people is not new and it is not fragile. And we will always be stronger together, and we will always persevere. No matter who has tried to erase us, we are still here. And we will always be. Every openly queer Valentine's Day today exists because of the people who loved quietly before us. So whether you are celebrating loudly, quietly, or somewhere in between, you're part of a very long and very romantic tradition. Stay safe. And if you have your own queer Valentine's traditions, I would love to hear about them in the comments. And if this video made you feel a little more rooted, a little more seen, if you also have an ear infection, let me know. Subscribe, I guess. Share with a friend. Tell me what great steroids you're putting in your ears. I will see you in my next video.